My learning intentions are to provide a detailed rationale for choosing the topic of population, to elaborate on my assessment methodology choices with reference to theorists, provide a succinct examination of how I would deliver a lesson, indicating how to differentiate and integrate active learning, and I will also analyse potential challenges that I may encounter and ways they could be alleviated.
I have decided to choose variations in population density and distribution. This topic will be taught to a first year group. It will build on their prior knowledge from primary school, where geography forms part of the social, environmental, and scientific education, where it primarily focuses on three major themes: place, space, and environment. The primary curriculum also places a strong emphasis on local environment. I will continue this when teaching population. When discussing the important issue of rural to urban migration, I will use a local example of Thurles and other rural towns in Tipperary. This will help students to retain the information in the long-term memory, as it is material which they can directly relate to. The curriculum at primary school also recommends an integrated approach towards the topic studied. This has also been emphasised to us as graduate student teachers to make cross-curricular links where possible. This was also another factor in my decision to choose population, as it allowed me to make explicit links with junior cycle history and the impact that the Great Famine had on population. This correlates with the primary school curriculum, which prioritises an integrated approach to learning. Within the junior cycle specification, the topic of population comes under strand 3, exploring people, place and change, and under the learning outcome 3.2, which is to investigate the causes and consequences of migration, and learning outcome 3.3, which is to examine the population change in Ireland and in a developing country. The developing country I will be looking at is Brazil. For those who choose to keep on geography leaving certificate level, it will provide a strong foundational knowledge which will assist students across multiple facets of the Leaving Cert. This includes the second overall aim from the Leaving Cert syllabus, which states to promote an awareness of the spatial, structural, and temporal patterns of environmental phenomena, both physical and human, at a variety of scales, and to realise these patterns change with time. It also explicitly states under the settings heading in the Leaving Cert syllabus that at all times teachers should endeavour to explain geographical phenomena by using local examples. I will strive to replicate this model when teaching to the junior certificate class, specifically when elucidating rural to urban migration, where I will use local examples in the Tipperary region. My topic of population also has direct links to regional geography in core unit 2 of the Leaving Cert syllabus and elective unit 5, which is patterns and processes in the human environment. I also decided to choose the topics as it will give the students the opportunity to develop some of the skills which provide the foundations to the Leaving Cert syllabus. These skills include figure interpretation and map interpretation.
Group work dynamics is a potential area which may cause difficulty. There may be dominant students in the group who limit participation from others. We know then that students can engage in defensive withdrawal of effort. To ameliorate this, I could devise group expectations in collaboration with the students. I will then facilitate contributions from all students, and this will give the guidelines an authentic feel. Another possible challenge that I may encounter is student motivation. We know from Carol Dweck's attribution theory that students who are of a fixed mindset believe intelligence is innate. I will be cognizant to promote a growth mindset within the classroom. This will help students to realise that academic achievement is a product of hard work and diligence. To cultivate a growth mindset in the classroom, I will also provide process-orientated praise, not person-orientated praise. To begin the class, I would then utilise this map as a platform to elicit prior knowledge and contents from primary school, and also to ask diagnostic questions which require a student to elaborate on their understanding. I would then introduce the learning intentions in a multimodal format: voice instruction, handout and PowerPoint. I will ensure that the PowerPoint presentation slides are on a cream background with black writing. I will then operate a traffic light system to ensure that students are au fait with the learning intentions. The lesson introduction integrates differentiation in a multiplicity of ways. The map caters for visual learners. To scaffold students, I will provide a simplified definition for densely and sparsely populated, which are keywords from the map. The traffic light system, which is assessment for learning, accommodates kinesthetic learners. I will closely observe during this as it will guide future practice of how best to phrase the learning intentions. The multiple intelligence theory posited by Howard Gardner was paramount in my decision to integrate a myriad of learning and assessment methodologies. By allowing students to learn in ways that are innate to them, their self-esteem and motivation will increase. As a reflective practitioner, it is imperative that I am aware of my own preferential style, which in turn influences how I plan lessons best for the students. When discussing the map, I will request that students work in twos for a think, pair, share exercise. I will begin using simplified group work tasks before incrementally increasing the complexity of the task. This will give students time to adapt to the previously devised group expectations. As a means of differentiation, I will pair stronger students with weaker students and appoint students a clearly defined role, such as timekeeper and scribe. I would then explain to students about the population distribution in Ireland using a pie chart. This also incorporates numeracy skills, which is an integral component of the new junior cycle and caters for visual learners. I would then activate prior knowledge from the keyword definition that I provided to students at the beginning of class when explaining that population density is higher in Dublin than the west of Ireland. I would then make a cross-curricular link with history when explaining to students that since the Great Famine, outward migration from the west of Ireland specifically has been extremely high. I will then explain to students that they will be required to write 2 points that I will ask them at the end of class on an exit ticket. This is formative assessment and also caters for kinesthetic learners, as they will stick the post-it note on the whiteboard.
I will then provide students with an article from the Nina Guardian, which centres around the topic of the decline of rural services in Tipperary. This will help students engage more with the topic, as they will be able to relate to their local area. Reading the article also integrates literacy skills and utilises the higher order skills of valuation and analysis, which will accommodate the academically strong students.
After students have read the article, I will request that they share their answers. This will help develop oral literacy skills and help students to become familiar with reading aloud in class, which is required for the classroom-based assessments in second year. I would then write student answers on the whiteboard in a mind map format. I've provided an exemplar of how the mind map on the whiteboard might appear.
Students may find it difficult to relate to population density and distribution in the developing country of Brazil in comparison to the local issues of population that I have discussed in Ireland. A strategy I could implement would be to discover what prior knowledge students already have on Brazil and build on that. A brainstorming exercise would be sufficient to do this. I have provided a segment of the material from the National Geographic Kids website that I would include in my lesson. I decided to choose this as a platform students would already be familiar with. This piece of information integrates numeracy skills in the form of statistics, where it states southeastern Brazil was once completely covered with dense forest. Now it's the country's industrial capital, home to Brazil's biggest cities, Sao Paulo and Rio de Janeiro. It covers only 11% of the country, but houses 43% of the population. These statistics, which I discussed previously, would act as a catalyst for further student thought. I would then play a short video from a news clip which caters for visual and audio learners and helps students relate to the information directly. To ensure students will be actively listening during the short clip, I would inform them that their homework question will be a research question based on the content from the video.
The homework questions based from the video would be: what problems are associated with a high population density? What problems are associated with an ageing population? To conclude the class, I would recap over the learning intentions and request that students write an exit ticket, which is formative assessment. As a means of differentiation, I would scaffold the weaker students by providing a sentence starter. The exit ticket would feature questions which include a mix of higher and lower order questions. For example, based on the reading of the article and watching the video, what do you think a major cause of rural to urban migration is? An example of a lower order question I would ask students would be: what were the names of the 2 major Brazilian cities that we discussed in class? This question would require students to recall the information. To summarise my presentation, I explored a potential delivery of a lesson, my rationale for choosing population, and where the topic fits across all facets of the primary and second level curriculum. I also explored potential challenges that may arise in classroom dynamics and with students grasping the subject. I have attempted to cater for a multiplicity of learning styles through integrating various learning platforms, which included local newspaper articles, videos and mind maps. Overall, researching this topic and then formulating a plan for how I would teach it has improved my knowledge of population immeasurably. I will endeavour to implement these strategies on SEP2.